So last week, Apple did something pretty massive. They raised prices across their entire MacBook lineup, which now leaves the base 13-inch MacBook Air sitting at $1299. If you've been looking for an alternative that gives you that exact same premium everyday form factor, this laptop right here might be the answer. And it's also $200 less at the time of filming. You get the same premium build, the same hyper portable design, but the catch is it runs Windows instead of Mac OS. So I'm putting this to the test to find out what it's actually like to switch all of my creative and productivity workflows over to Windows full time. Hi everyone, if you're new to my channel, my name is Paula, and this is the Samsung Galaxy Book6 Pro. This is the base model 14-inch version. We're looking at 512 gigs of storage, 16 gigs of RAM, and Intel's new Panther Lake architecture, specifically the Core Ultra 7 356H. Now, unfortunately, Samsung restricts the higher end X7 chips to the larger 16-inch model. But for everyday tasks, this is more than enough. Now let's talk build quality. First impressions, this looks and feels like a MacBook Air, but it gives you a more versatile 14-inch screen, which is the absolute sweet spot for my needs. The full aluminum chassis feels premium, while the port selection is also pretty decent. On the left, you get two full Thunderbolt 4 ports and an HDMI. Over to the right, you have a headphone jack and a traditional USB-A port. Now, sadly, there's no memory card reader, but if we're comparing this to a MacBook Air, neither does the Air. It would have just been a wishlist item for me. Inside, we have a familiar keyboard style, which truly resembles the MacBook, though it does have a slightly lower key travel. The trackpad is a generous size and features built-in haptic feedback. It's easily one of the best trackpads on a Windows machine, even if Apple still holds a slight edge on overall gesture fluidity. I still feel like MacBook is a tiny bit more responsive than the Galaxy Book, but that could also be because of their OS differences. Now, where this laptop absolutely shines over the MacBook is the screen. This is a 3K AMOLED touch display running at 120 Hz. The contrast, the colors, the sheer fluid responsiveness looks very visually satisfying. At 2.73 pounds, the portability is unmatched. When you pair the phone, the laptop, and the Galaxy Buds, you realize that Samsung has actually built an ecosystem that genuinely mirrors the seamlessness of Apple. Last week, you guys saw the test of the Samsung's S26 Ultra, where I got to play with pairing both the laptop and the Buds. You get instant pairing, find my device tracking, and the Buds seamlessly switch audio between your phone and laptop, depending on what's active. Now, the biggest fear people have when leaving Apple is losing AirDrop, myself included. But Samsung has Quickshare, which works flawlessly. What's even crazier is that the phone can now directly drop files to Apple devices anyway. And while a lot of Windows users swear by third-party tools like Local Send, I don't even need it here. This laptop can natively display exactly what's currently on my phone screen, making data transfers back and forth completely frictionless. Now, to be completely transparent, I don't actually plan on using this as my main video editing rig. I have a dedicated desktop workstation at home for all the heavy lifting. But the real question is, could it edit on the go? Let's load up DaVinci Resolve. So right here, I'm scrubbing through the timeline for a project. This was actually for my desk tour video, which you guys might have already seen on the channel. These are heavy 4K 422 clips shot in H.265 on a Canon. We're editing raw log footage with a conversion LUT applied, and look at this. It has zero issues with real-time playback or scrubbing. So the answer is yes. It has no problem carrying out an editing project. Any lightweight laptop that is this thin would have its own pros and cons. Apple's silicon still feels noticeably snappier when it comes to pure single-core performance. This Intel chip bridges the gap significantly on multi-core tasks, but on single-core, you notice it. For example, when I open some of my daily apps like DaVinci, Tasty Trade, or even the Documents folder, it just takes a couple seconds longer, but once it's launched, everything runs smoothly. I did find out that this is actually because I'm running this on optimized mode, so it doesn't drain the battery as quickly. But if you run this laptop in high performance mode, everything becomes much snappier, though it does come at the cost of losing battery a little bit quicker as well. Another limitation pops up when you push the color grade. So say I even throw in transitions on top of the more complex color grading onto the DaVinci timeline. The system starts dropping frames. If you want to use heavy creative effects on this machine, you'll either need to use proxies or save that work for the very end of your edit. So if that ultra heavy creative workload is your daily life, you're better off upgrading to the 16-inch model to get that upgraded Core X7 chip and the dedicated Intel Arc GPU. Speaking of graphics, I wanted to see what this integrated Intel setup could handle. So I launched a few of my go-to cozy games, starting with Stardew Valley. Something extremely light, and it ran without any problems as I expected. Next, I launched Pal World for something a bit more demanding, and this was also okay. Personally, I would only really use this laptop away from home, and I usually don't play demanding games on the go anyway, mostly because I'm coming from a MacBook where the game library was already super limited. But it's nice to see that because this is Windows, I actually have access to my whole Steam library. As for the audio, the speakers do a decent job, but for a premium 14-inch chassis, I do wish it had a bit more punch. To my ears, the 14-inch MacBook Pro still holds the crown for laptop audio in this size class. The Galaxy Book utilizes downward-facing speakers, whereas some competitors manage to route them to the top or sides. They are perfectly serviceable. Just don't expect deep room-filling bass. This part is the only thing that actually made a difference in my editing experience, since I'm used to the upward-facing speakers on my MacBook that I can trust the sound from my video is accurate. With the Galaxy Book being downward-facing, I still found myself having to check the audio on either my PC or my MacBook just to be sure. Now, rounding out the rest of the features, you get Galaxy Book Experience, where you get numerous apps baked into the system. It handles things like multi-control, second screen, or camera share. And then you have Galaxy AI, where you can search for images or even text in a different language. Launch the Galaxy AI to trace over the item you want more info about, and it searches it for you. The webcam is a standard 1080p module. It's not going to blow you away, but it's completely fine for a quick call. If you want better picture quality, you can actually just use your phone natively as a webcam through camera share, and that's going to instantly boost the camera quality anyway, since the S26 cameras are so good. So all in all, after using the Galaxy Book, it's definitely a machine I can see myself using because it easily handles on-the-go editing. Though at the end of the day, Apple Silicon is still superior if video editing is your primary use case. These Intel chips have come a long way, but they still lack that raw instant power. Interestingly, during my time testing this, I also heard the news about NVIDIA's new RTX Spark superchip coming to Windows laptops later this year. That is something I know that we're all excited about because we might finally get some massive competition for Apple Silicon in the ultra portable space. And that's all I have for today. If you guys like this video, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up down below and subscribe for more tech and gear related videos. As always, thank you guys again for watching, and I will see you in the next video.